Hello, this is the installment of our Industry Leadership Series. I'm Brian Dobson, Head of SPAC Disruptive Technology Research at Chardan Capital Markets. I'll start the call by reading some important disclosures. During this call, we will not be discussing Chardan research. Any discussions about research should be coordinated with a participant and their respective salesperson. Our compliance team has asked me to read the following statement for the investor call. By participating in this call, our speakers attest that they have made Chardan aware of any potential conflicts, and they will not discuss any material, non-public, or confidential information that they are aware of that may breach their legal, regulatory, or fiduciary responsibility to any parties. Today, I am joined by Valens CFO, Dror Heldenberg. And we're very excited to have him with us this morning to discuss not only the future of Valens, but the future of the semiconductors industry. Welcome, and thank you for making the time for us and our investors.
Thank you, Brian.
Great. So, as we generally do with these calls, let's start with the big picture themes. What megatrends do you believe are driving global demand? And how do they shape your outlook for the next 2 years? And then, I guess, further expanding on that, how are you positioning Valens to prosper in that environment?
Okay, good morning, everyone. So let me start with a short introduction of Valens. Valens Semiconductor is an Israeli fabless semiconductor company. We design chipsets that provide wired high-speed connectivity solutions over a simple and low-cost infrastructure for two large and growing markets, automotive and audio-video. Our technology allows the convergence of various streams of information and data such as audio, high-resolution video, Ethernet, USB, power, and more, simultaneously at multi-gig bandwidths. We transfer this information over very low cost and long reach standard cables. Valens technology is probably the only high-speed connectivity technology that can guarantee the link quality and make sure that all the data will arrive on time without any distortion. As part of Valens' go-to-market strategy, we believe that in order to lead a market, we need to set the standard in this market. Gaining a significant first-mover advantage is ahead of the competition. We did it in the audio-video space with the AGBST standard, and now we are replicating this in the automotive space with the MIPI A-PHY standard that is based on Valens technology for high-speed video connectivity in the car. With respect to your question, the mega trends that we see in the markets that drive the global demand over the next 2 years. So starting with the audio video, which today accounts for 90% of the business. I would say that COVID has accelerated trends in audio video that have started prior to the pandemic. And Valens is well positioned to capitalize on these trends as well as new opportunities that emerged following the pandemic. All of them require video conferencing, or in other words, video extension. Valens technology is key to a successful hybrid environment while reducing total cost of ownership. Let me give you some examples. In corporations, we see demand for video conferencing equipment supporting work from home and other rooms, which are small private meeting areas with audio video equipment. In education, we see institutions using government budgets to upgrade their classroom to enable hybrid education models, providing the same user experience to students that are learning in and out the classroom. In addition, we sell into new segments such as industrial, mainly compute vision systems and medical equipment. All in all, we're seeing robust demand in all those segments for our audio-video solutions, where we sell our products with very healthy gross margins. And With respect to our automotive business, so we started the automotive business in 2016, aiming to leverage our core technology used in audio video into this fast-growing industry. In September 2020, we started mass production sales to Mercedes-Benz for their new infotainment platform. In this year, by the way, we generated revenues of $2 million. 2021 was the first full year of revenues from this deal. Our 2021 revenues already reached $8 million, 4 times higher than in 2020, contributing approximately 10% of our 2021 total revenues. This year, 2022, Valens total revenues are expected to range between $83 and $85 million, and we expect to double our automotive revenues to 20%. So here again, we expect to double our revenues year over year. We believe this trend of growth will continue, driven mainly by deployment in additional car models. And the mass production, of course, with Stoneridge. Stoneridge is a tracking company using our solution for innovative rear camera to dashboard display connectivity. I would say that there are 2 main trends driving the need for high-speed connectivity in automotive. The first is the need for more safety equipment. I'm sure that you all know that it's called ADAS in the cars we are driving today. A good example for such ADAS system is the Mobileye system. The advanced safety equipment, the ADAS equipment, means that the OEMs add more sensors, different types of sensors, radars, lidars, and cameras, which are already designed into cars. And second, while it will take some time, all the automotive OEMs, all of them, are progressing with their autonomous car projects, which means more sensors and more compute units in the cars. And again, the need for additional high-speed connectivity will continue to increase. Valens solutions are relevant for all these new platforms, supporting the increasing need for high bandwidth connectivity with zero latency using low-cost cables and connectors. So to summarize, Valens is a one-stop shop provider of high-speed connectivity solutions for automotive, including data connectivity and video connectivity for both infotainment and ADAS applications. I would say that Valens' robust solution provides the high speed at zero latency over the simplest and lowest cost infrastructure while guaranteeing unmatched error-free links. Long answer to short question.
No, that was a very robust answer, and we appreciate that, particularly for investors who may not be as close to the story. But I think you hit on a lot of the really important key themes there that underpin our positive thesis on the stock. So I guess going even a little bit further, could you really give us a picture of the industry's competitive landscape and what near-term obstacles you believe that Valens needs to overcome?
Okay, so here again, I'll split my answers. So with respect to the high-speed connectivity in audio-video space, Valens is the largest provider for audio-video connectivity solutions for applications that require extension of more than 10 meters, or if you want, 30 feet. Below this distance, the standard connectivity and the most common one is the HDMI connectivity, the one that probably most of you are using in the living room. While for all these audio-video extensions beyond 30 feet, we compete against certain AV over IP solutions, I believe that it's fair to say that in this space of all the extensions beyond 30 feet, Valens is the incumbent provider and we have the lion's share of the market. Now, with respect to automotive, and this is the other part of the answer, with respect to automotive, let's start with a short background. In the automotive industry, it is common knowledge that the high-speed connectivity is growing and evolving very rapidly. Now, different types of connectivity solutions can and should coexist in the car to enable a variety of high-speed connectivity applications. We have what we call the symmetric links that are mainly used for ECU to ECU, one compute unit to another compute unit. And this type of connectivity mainly serve for data connectivity. And there we compete against the Ethernet products, Ethernet-based products. Who do we compete with? So I would say that in general, in automotive, we compete with large semiconductor companies. Our family of symmetric solutions that is called the VA6000 family for data connectivity today competes with companies like Broadcom, Marvell, NXP. But in parallel, we also have the non-symmetric links. The non-symmetric links that are mainly used for sensor to ECU and ECU to display. And here we refer mainly to the transfer of video connectivity. Video connectivity, unlike the data connectivity. In this space, we compete against analog legacy solutions. In this case, our VA7000, which is the second generation of the automotive products, competes with the legacy solution coming from Texas Instruments and Analog Devices. So what makes Valens solutions so unique compared to the legacy solution? The automotive industry is facing several pain points related to high-speed video connectivity, and Valens offers unique solutions. First and most important one is the bandwidth. The amount of data transferred within the car makes the car a kind of a data center on wheels. So the industry is looking for future-proof technology in that aspect. Now, while the legacy connectivity solutions, which are analog, are simply insufficient to meet the bandwidth needs, our technology doesn't have any limitation related to bandwidth. And in order to meet these bandwidth requirements, our technology does not need to compromise on the link lengths like the competition does, because in connectivity, as you know, there is a trade-off between the bandwidth and the length of the link. And in addition, we don't force our customers to work with expensive shielded cables and connectors like the legacy solution requires. Second, ADAS systems that are required to enhance passenger safety dictate the use of error-free links. I would say that there is no room with safety equipment, there is no room or time for any mistake. Valens technology excels with respect to its ability to deal with electromagnetic interference that exists in the car, much better than legacy solutions. Third, the trend of more safety systems in the cars means more ECUs, again, more compute units, more cables, and more connectors that are deployed in the car, to the point that we can simply see that the cars are running out of physical space to include all these new cables and connectors. So the OEMs are expecting to a much smarter connectivity technology that will be adopted in the cars. And I think that they view our technology as a very smart connectivity. And finally, the fact that at the first time there is a standard in this industry, and the OEM and tier ones are not forced to work with proprietary solution, this for sure add to the momentum that we see now in the industry around our standard-based solutions.
That's excellent, and I think you hit on some of the really important things there, the near zero latency. Importantly, the potential weight savings from working with unshielded wiring. I mean, it's considerable, and also the integration. You also mentioned the new APHI standards. That was something that you played a major role in developing. Do you think you could elaborate a little bit on how you believe you have a first mover advantage there, and how the industry is, let's say, adopting that standard?
Sure. MIPI A-PHY is the first and only standard for high-speed video connectivity in the car. Now, it's important to mention that high-speed video connectivity is the fastest growing segment in this space, and Valens obviously intends to lead this revolution. Now, the new A-PHY standard that was announced in September 2020, which is based on our technology, on Valens technology, is already gaining momentum within the automotive industry as more and more companies have already announced their intention to adopt it. The power of the standard is reflected by the fact that in 2021, the A-PHY standard, the same A-PHY standard that I mentioned, was also adopted by the well-known standardization organization, the IEEE. And in December 2021, Valens was the first in the industry to ship engineering samples of its VA7000 product family. This is the first product in the industry that is fully compliant to the A-PHY standard, and it's not surprising because the standard is based on our technology. And we shipped these samples to 25 prospective customers and partners, including 4 OEMs and more than 10 leading tier ones, clearly demonstrating our first mover advantage in this space. I believe that we have a gap of few years before we'll start to see other players in this space. Now, we see growing interest in the MIPI A-PHY standards from companies across the automotive supply chain, and this includes automotive OEMs, which are the car manufacturers. We see it from tier 1s and tier 2 suppliers, the companies that supply parts or systems to the OEMs. We are already engaged with multiple sensors and system-on-chip companies such as Mobileye, Sony, and Sunny Optical that plan to embed A-PHY solution within their product offering. We are also working with leading industry players such as Aptiv, Denso, LG Innotek, and Sumitomo Electric, which is the worldwide leading manufacturers for in-vehicle harness. Now, we believe that following the evaluation of our VA7000, we will see more and more RFIs and RFQs requiring the use of A-PHY solutions, and this obviously will pave the path for new design wins and new business opportunities for Valens.
I think one interesting thing that you mentioned there, and there was a lot, was your recent partnership with Sumitomo Electric Industries. So, as you said, that's a leading manufacturer of wiring looms. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you expect that partnership to yield? What are the opportunities from working with Sumitomo?
Sure. In the case of Sumitomo Electric, for example, we are collaborating to match their wiring harness technology with MIPI A-PHY requirements. As you rightfully mentioned, Sumitomo Electric controls more than 30% market share in wire harness manufacturing and assembly. And having their off-the-shelf cables meeting A-PHY channel requirements will serve to further accelerate the deployment of MIPI A-PHY connectivity solutions in vehicle, no doubt.
No, that's excellent. And then, I believe you also referenced your partnership with Stoneridge, which is a vehicle systems designer, to develop vision systems based on VA6000 chipset technology. Can you, give us a little bit of a further update on how that partnership is progressing and describe potential in the trucking market, which I think is very exciting given all of the secondary market applications?
Sure. So let's start with the fact that we engaged with Stoneridge towards the end of 2020. Stoneridge is a leading designer and manufacturer of systems for the trucking industry. Now, together, the two companies are developing video connectivity solutions that will enable the connectivity of a rear camera to a display next to the driver. That's the system. a connectivity, a long-reach connectivity of a rear camera at the back side of the trailer to a display next to the driver. Now, this solution, this system will solve a critical safety issue for truck drivers that today, when they want to drive backwards, they can only rely on their side mirrors with all the blind spots that they have behind the truck. And obviously, this will reduce fleet operating costs. Just think about the insurance premium saving that they're going to see. Now, with respect to the potential business of this engagement, we expect initial revenues from the Stoneridge partnership towards the end of this year, 2022. And we expect this revenue to increase in 2023 and onwards. At this point, I believe that it would be fair to say that the revenue per truck is expected to be more or less 2 times higher than the revenues we are seeing in Mercedes cars today, which is north of $25 per car. I would also say that this partnership also provides an opportunity to sell a similar solution in the trucking aftermarket, which is a very big market. And just maybe to give you a quick reference, today on an annual basis, we see 2 million new trucks every year. And the life cycle of every truck is very long. So the business potential is really big for this solution.
Yeah, that's right. And, that's such a compelling retrofit in terms of increasing safety and efficiency for truck drivers. So speaking of that VA6000 chip series, you've just introduced the VA6003, which is your new high efficiency, low energy consumption chip. And our checks indicate that it's receiving positive feedback from your key clients. I guess, how does this chip compare with its competition in the market?
Okay, so the VA6003 is the newest addition to our VA6000 product family. Now, while operating with a very low power consumption, the VA6003 provides optimized in-car 1 gigabit Ethernet connectivity. The VA6003, this new product, is the only high bandwidth solution capable of operating over unshielded cables, which is the lowest cost wiring infrastructure, while complying, and that's a very important point, while complying with the challenging EMC or EMI requirements. Okay, that's a unique solution. Being able to cope with all the EMI requirements and still working over UTP cable, unshielded twisted pair, that's a unique offering. Now, Valens Semiconductor is uniquely positioned to offer products for both symmetric applications, such as ECU to ECU connectivity, again, with our VA6000 and VA6003 product, as well as non-symmetric applications, such as sensor to ECU or ECU to display. This is the video connectivity, with our first in the industry AFI compliant VA7000 family that I just mentioned. And this comprehensive offering makes us a one-stop shop for all in-vehicle high-speed application that are required by the automotive makers.
Excellent. Thank you. And just in between questions, I'll remind the audience that you can send Q&A directly to me at bdobson@chardan.com, or you can drop your question in a direct message in the chat. So speaking of chip introductions, you just announced the VA7000 chip at your recent Level Up event in February. What type of feedback have you received from the marketplace, and where do you see the potential for that chip?
So yes, first, that's correct. The Level Up event was another step in introducing the non-symmetric VA7000 family to potential customers and partners. I can tell you that hundreds of representatives from leading automotive companies in the US, Europe, and Asia Pacific have attended this virtual event. As we mentioned, in December 21, we shipped evaluation kits of this VA7000 to 25 prospective customers and partners, and I mentioned that this list included a nice mix of 4 OEMs and more than 10 tier 1s. All of them are now in the process of evaluating these chipsets for potential integration into their platforms. We are seeing interest from additional players in the automotive ecosystem beyond this list of 25. And we're dealing with the automotive industry, and evaluation of new technology in this industry that is very conservative can take somewhere between 12 to 18 months. Thereafter, we would start seeing RFIs and RFQs that ask for the deployment of these standard-based products, and this will be the time for us to see the initial revenues from these products.
Excellent. So there's been, of course, a lot of news about supply chain concerns. What measures have you taken to insulate the company from supply chain disruptions? We saw higher inventory levels at the end of last quarter. Are those two issues connected?
So they are connected, but let me start with a quick observation. Throughout 2021, we met all the demand from our customers in a very supply constrained environment. We successfully supported our customers' need and were able to fulfill all the orders received in a timely manner. Now, to deal with this challenging supply environment, indeed, we placed longer-term purchase orders for raw materials and manufacturing services to ensure sufficient capacity and timely supply to support our customers and our anticipated 2021 and 2022 revenue growth. Now, you mentioned correctly that this grew our inventory by $6.2 million at the end of 2021 as compared to 2020. The increase in inventory, I would say, was triggered by 3 factors. Obviously, it's the need to support higher revenue that dictates higher levels of inventory. That's very trivial. Second, it's the fact that there were price increases by our vendors, so the cost per unit increases. That by itself can explain some of the increase in the inventory. And finally, it's the need to keep buffer inventory to be able to deal with upsides. That's another factor that affected the level of inventory that we kept. Now, we believe that this inventory obviously will be consumed during 2022. And looking into 2022, we anticipate the strong demand for our products to continue, and we have taken proactive measures to ensure we will again be able to timely fulfill our customer needs. So we should expect to see the same trends in 2022.
Thank you for that explanation. I guess turning to a sadder note, given the unfortunate events in Ukraine, that company is a key producer of automotive wiring looms, which I believe not a lot of people realize. Have you heard anything about demand disruption or anything about supply disruption, rather, at the automotive manufacturers? We know that you have a very close relationship with Daimler.
With Mercedes. Daimler is the manufacturer of the trucks after the spin-off.
Right.
Now it's Mercedes-Benz that is taking care of the private cars. But first, it's a good question. Before I address your question, it's important that people understand that we sell semiconductor chips. With our product in semiconductor, we don't sell cables, we don't sell connectors. We are
right.
That just to clarify. Now, with respect to your question, As it relates to the OEMs and tier ones we are working with, we haven't seen anything unusual as of now. What we have seen in the press is that, for example, one of the major harness manufacturers in Ukraine is starting production again after some days of being on hold. Some have communicated their plans to move to different locations and manufacture from there. Some are adding shifts. So I believe that while there is some slower manufacturing over the past few weeks, it's not completely altered, and cable harness manufacturers are working on finding alternatives to make sure that their customers will not be affected with the conflict in Ukraine.
Excellent. And speaking of that conflict, both Russia and Ukraine are producers of neon and palladium. Do you see the potential for supply disruptions there as they pertain to chip manufacturing?
I assume that you refer supply disruption on Valens?
Yes, for the industry in general.
Okay, so on the industry in general, probably we're going to see some impact because as you indicated, Russia and Ukraine produce neon and palladium. They're an important provider there. By the way, neon, it's a material, it's a mineral that mainly is being used for lasers within chips. We are not affected with this raw material. Palladium is used for chip packaging. Though obviously we can be affected. However, according to what we hear from our suppliers, the industry has large stores of those materials. So at this point, there are no discussions about shortage in the industry that are driven by the conflict in Ukraine.
Okay, thanks for that clarification there. And I'll take our first audience Q&A question. Are you seeing more crossover demand for audio video chips, particularly in the medical and government sectors?
So yes, we are. In addition to selling into corporations and education, we sell into new segments such as industrial, mainly compute vision systems and medical equipment. For example, large diagnostic equipment like MRIs, X-ray machines, and remote ventilation machines. All in all, we're seeing robust demand in all those segments for our audio-video solutions. As I mentioned, where we sell our products with very healthy gross margins. So yes, the answer is definitely yes.
All right, excellent. And our next question has to do with the introduction of USB 3.0 and HDMI 2.1. How will the introduction of those technologies impact demand trends? And are you starting to see any type of activity around that in the market?
Oh, that's a nice one. While we continue to win new design wins with our earlier generation of audio-video solutions, our focus today is on securing design wins and ramping production of our newest generation, what we call the Stello, the VS3000, okay? It is the first and only solution on the market that supports extension of uncompressed 4K 60 frames per second, and USB over a single cable. The Stello is already embedded in designs of more than 100 different products from leading manufacturers. Shipments started in 2021, and we expect to see revenue continue to ramp in 2022. Looking forward, you asked about the USB 3 and HDMI 2.1. So we see a transition into the next level of resolution beyond the 4K, which is the 8K. And we are already starting to see demand from customers that are asking for 8K resolution solutions. And we also see huge demand for new products that will extend USB 3. That's correct. I can tell you that these two solutions are now that we're now developing as part of our roadmap should be key drivers for the audio-video revenue growth starting 2024. So no doubt that these are very important parts of the puzzles of the audio-video product offering that we have now. It's part of our roadmap. We're in active design, and obviously they will contribute to our 2024 revenue ramp.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, that concludes our audience Q&A. I'd like to thank you for being so generous with your time. I think it was time well spent for our clients, and certainly expanded upon our understanding of Valens. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.